can't be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm back. FT Live. The OG crew. Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski running it on Stadium right now. Great job by Britt Giroli on Friday. And Hannah Kaiser's taking over on Tuesday. Britt was great, though. Heard you guys on Friday. I was trolling in the comments here and there. AJ, I think you saw at one point you kind of took over in the comments.
You heard who? You heard whose guys?
I heard you two.
No, you did?
Oh, no, sorry, not Kratz.
Yeah.
Toddfather. Yes.
Yeah.
It was Toddfather. Thank you for keeping attendance. Was that like a shot where you're like, oh, I was there on
a Friday? I was there. I was there on a Friday.
It was nice. It was nice. You bring energy on a Friday. I like Friday, AJ. Maybe a little bit more than my Monday, AJ. But we'll see. Hey, you can always turn it around.
Listen, Friday was fun because we didn't have Scott. He's not at my house. He hasn't been here for weeks now.
Yep. Days, but yeah. And look out for me on Wednesday. But yes. But you'll have Hannah Kaiser on Tuesday, so bring it again.
Yes, we can discuss hair color.
Yes, exactly. Which is pretty relevant for today. We'll get to him in a couple minutes, but Lourdes Gurriel did sign. So if you want to talk about that and ask her about Lourdes, you can certainly do that. Let's start with Yamamoto, though. Okay. So the sweepstakes keeps rolling into another week. I'm actually surprised he hasn't signed yet just because he's done quite a few meetings. But why not milk it a little bit? Why not head over to Uncle Steve Cohen's house and check it out and look at all the gorgeous paintings and have a nice dinner? Joel Sherman saying that they did dinner on Saturday at his house with a Mets contingent. So that included Carlos Mendoza. That included Jeremy Hefner, Mendoza the manager, Hefner the pitching coach. Was David Stearns there? I don't remember if I saw him on the list. He was there too.
I mean, that's what I saw. I wasn't there. I didn't ask David, so.
I'm sure it was a wonderful meal, but he figured while I'm in town, I'll also hit up the Yanks and see if they want to meet again. So maybe they sit down and they go, oh, Uncle Steve's was great. He made a fantastic hint at what an offer would be, because I think they were still right around getting to the offer stage, which can move pretty quickly, and he's deciding where he wants to go. But he hops over to New York. Fans are freaking out. You guys realize that, right? Fans are freaking out. Like, this causes fans, I think, to get excited, and it's just been a lot more fun to cover because we're getting more news of what's going on versus the mysterious fake news coming from the Shohei Ohtani situation. So where are we at? Does this convince you on any front, AJ, that something's going to go down, say, with one of the New York teams because he meets there versus coming from Los Angeles, or it literally means absolutely nothing?
When's his posting time up?
January 5th, I think.
All right, let's hurry up and get there then, because
I mean, he's going to sign before that.
You think? I mean, he's milked this.
Yes.
I mean, he's like Kratz with the Amish cows. Right? Milking this thing like there's no tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know what's but January 5th can't get here soon enough. Make a decision. I mean, before Christmas at least, so we can at least have something to talk about before Christmas, because, Yamamoto, Phillies, Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, Blue Jays, White Sox. He's meeting with all these teams, and he's, just pick one already.
The bidding just keeps going. The bidding just keeps ratcheting up. Every time you're seen with Steve Cohen, you tweet a picture. Like, I think they should do this like high school. Eventually, his decision should be like high school. Sit at a table, have all those hats out, but then give like one last, like, I'm going to choose this one over here, but unless they want to call, like we have a couple extra calls. Hang on one sec. Okay, you want to, yep, up. Okay, I'm going to choose a different team now. He's playing it. To me, I think you see the personalities, like Shohei's personality. He's kind of reserved from what we've seen. He not a lot out there. We didn't know a lot. There was a lot of, secrecy in his free agency. Maybe this means Yamamoto's a little bit more like I like being out there. I like kind of being the center of the spotlight. And Adam Jones said the other day, he likes Rolls Royces. So maybe he likes a little bit more flashy, and this is a little flashy. I like it. Go to Steve's house. Have you guys seen the picture of Steve's house, by the way? Unbelievable that that's an actual house. That's like AJ's people.
What would you call it? A museum? Like an art museum?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like one of those, like, see, AJ's like, it's kind of mid. It's kind of mid for the people I hang out with.
It's below average.
I don't hang out with any billionaires, so it's like wings of wings. It's like a small middle school.
AJ's like, it's between, Tiger and Griffey for me, something that.
Nah,
Michael, he was thinking.
Those guys are too small time for what we're talking about.
He was thinking about Michael. He was thinking about Bezos. Those guys.
I'll throw this out there, though. AJ, I think he's going to New York or LA. Now, that gives me 3 team options. Is that obvious?
I mean, it seems like it.
Yeah.
What about Philly, though? What about Philly?
Unless Topper tells us he's going to Philly.
The real question is, why was Kratz not at the Phillies dinner they had with him?
How do you know I wasn't?
Well, because you would have told us by now. We would have heard a tweet about it by now.
Oh, yeah. I would have definitely tweeted.
Trust me. We would have got a tweet.
It would have been an Aussie. Me and Yamamoto.
So my question is the Dodgers, we heard, had Shohei and Freddie and Mookie and Will Smith and Dave Roberts and everybody else and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and anybody else from LA that you can think of off the top of your head. But there's just no. Then you hear about Philly and they had to zoom in Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper couldn't fly in for this or what? I don't understand. Where was JT and where was Schwarbaums and where was Trey Turner and where was Wheeler and where was Nola? Instead, they're like, hey, Yamamoto, we're going to zoom in Bryce Harper. Yeah, he couldn't make it. I mean, I don't know. To me, it would have been cool to be in the meeting and sit down and hear about it. If you're the Mets, where's Francisco Lindor? Where's Peter Alonso? Where's some players that he's going to get to hang out with?
Yeah, that's my thing. Is the Mets didn't really roll out the red carpet. I mean, the manager, the pitching coach, and the Cohens, and Stearns was there too.
But they've already done meetings. Stearns and Cohen flew out to Japan to meet with him. But you're saying you wanted players involved? I mean, this is the players?
You're selling a guy on a 10-year contract.
So how does it work? What if they're away? Also, they all live in different places. I don't know where some of those guys in LA live, but what is that? There's those things that go.
There's these things called private jets that I'm sure if you're going to spend $250 to $300 million on a player, you can spend a couple grand to fly Bryce Harper if he's in Vegas to Philly for a day or two. And hey, you know what, Bryce? We really need you here. JT, we know you're wherever he's living. If he's living in Florida, he's living in Oklahoma, where he's from. Hey, dude, we can have Bryce's plane land in Oklahoma, pick you up, and then it can be in Philly in 2 hours. Like, I mean, to me, the Dodgers obviously roll out the red carpet for everybody and do everything, but it's cool. I think if I've never, again, been on this level before of where you're getting this kind of attention, but if you are, man, you got to try everything. If that includes bringing in future teammates, you got to do it.
Did the Yankees do that?
They didn't say.
The Yankees have only said they met with him.
Right. So it doesn't sound like anyone did that besides the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why the Dodgers signed everybody.
True. I mean, that worked for what? You think the Yankees brought Judge?
I mean, let's put it this way: they were all at Kinger's wedding, so you get the boys together. I'm pretty sure, but he doesn't want to see Yamamoto wants to see the future. So you brought in the future with the Dodgers. That's an easy sell, especially if everybody's out there.
CC and Judge were there, though. By the way, we're getting
who?
CC, Sabathia, and Aaron Judge were there.
Okay, I think
so good. If I'm there, I want Judge. That's who I want. Now, also, you don't know. Does this guy really care? I think based on what Adam Jones said, and I encourage anyone to check out the clip on our YouTube from Jonesy talking about spending time with him, 2 seasons with him, what he's into, what he's like as a person. I think the teammate connection does help, and if the offers are going to be in a similar, $300 million range, I do think that everything helps for someone like this, right?
There's one person, and they've already done the research. If it matters, he's the guy that they're bringing. Tanaka. Tanaka. They're going to have him meet. Like maybe he's not like into the history of baseball, or he's not like, oh man, like this is the guy for me. Like same thing with, maybe that's why Kodai Senga wasn't with the Mets, contingent. It's all, you're now looking into like the research of the person, not necessarily, because you've already seen what he does as a player, which is a completely other topic. I don't know that the guy's maybe worth what everybody's putting out there. I don't know. We'll see what he gets.
Okay, so let me ask this. Where is it most important that he signs? Is it New York's? Is it LA? Is it San Fran? Is it Phil? Where is the spot that it would make the biggest impact on the team?
San Francisco.
No, I mean for the next 10 years, if he signs a 10-year, $300 million deal for the next 10 years, and I'm talking about from this year, let's talk the first 5, because whatever, injuries, whatever can happen. But I'm saying for the first 5 years when he signs this contract, what city/team can he make the biggest impact, not only for the team, but for the fan base?
San Francisco, in my opinion, but I don't think he's going there. Just based on them looking for superstars, them trying to, I think they'd be able to rally around Yamamoto and Lee. I think for the Dodgers, there's so many superstars there. If they don't get Yamamoto, they move to option, 2. They already got Glass now. They'll get somebody else big, whether it's via free agency or via trade. They have plenty of prospects. They're just rich in their farm system, right? For the Mets, they'll just chill. That's what it seems like. That's the other layer of this story, too, is that Ken Rosenthal put out in his notes that if the Mets don't get him, they're like Yamamoto or bust. We're not going to then go to option 2 like a Jordan Montgomery. They're like, we'll sign 1 or 2 year contract kind of situations, and we won't be pushing our chips in as much for next year. The Yankees are another big one on that front, too. But same thing, like Kratz, I think, and Ken said, they'd look into Montgomery. They'd look into buying up multiple relievers as well. So for me, I think San Francisco stands out also because I don't know if they'll be as involved in the trade market. Their farm system was pretty weak for a while and now is just getting built up. I don't see Farhan Zaidi wanting to make a trade. So I would rank it San Francisco, of the teams that I think are actually in it. Yankees, I guess Mets, Dodgers in terms of impact to the organization.
By the way, go ahead, Kratzy.
I was just going to say that I think the biggest impact will be on LA because I think this would put them over the hump. I don't know that the Yankees have to hit. They figured it out on, putting Soto in the lineup. Now they have to hit. Yes, they have to figure out starting pitching, but I think Yamamoto puts this team to where everybody thinks they are now because they got Shohei. And it puts them in that possibly 3 world championships in 10 years. The Yankees, they get Yamamoto. They still have other things to do in the next 10 years while they're there. This solidifies it that the Dodgers will, have done what they can to be the best team. Well, are they the best team? The Braves are just over here, laughing at people. They're like picking up other people's trash and pushing it out, and then they're like picking up and they're like, you guys just figure out how to spend your money. We'll just keep piling prospects that we think are going to be awesome in the near future.
By the way, the team we didn't even mention, Jeremy, our director, the Red Sox. What are they doing this offseason? I mean, they met with Yamamoto, right? Apparently they offered him $300 million. Where have they been? We haven't heard anything about the Red Sox doing anything this offseason, which is very Remember, Chaim Bloom fired because he wasn't aggressive enough. What's Craig Bledsoe doing then?
He's only working the constraints. He's working the constraints that he has. I would love to see. I would love to see what Papelbon said. If you guys would go back and look at the one game we did, he was talking about how he said they are looking to spend. They want to spend. They want to put a winner out on the field. Okay, now it's time. You had the other. Obviously, nobody's firing an owner. The fans are just going to keep being pissed. But if Chaim Bloom wasn't aggressive enough and Craig Breslow isn't able to be aggressive enough, then it's not either one of the GM's faults. But this is why they go through GMs like, yesterday's trash.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see them getting Yamamoto, but I do see them spending on pitching. There's still a lot of other pitchers that are hanging around right now. Yeah, then we're going to move on to Montgomery and Snell. So we'll get there, but I think
Okay,
everyone's
well
just
then
waiting for Yamamoto
after
at this point.
after Yamamoto goes, okay, then you keep talking about would you rather have Snell or Montgomery?
For which
Those are
team?
Whoever
In
can afford
general?
them. Whoever can afford them.
I think Snell fits in certain places better than others. I think Monty kind of fits anywhere. No, you disagree?
Why?
I
Why
also
do you
think
why do you feel
I
like
think
he
Snell
fits
wants to
better?
pitch. I think Snell wants to pitch on the West Coast. I think if Snell is among other starters that can maybe be the top guy, even if he's the best finisher on the team in terms of numbers, you know what I'm saying? Like I think that if a little attention's taken away from him, if you sign him, you're going to be our one. I don't know. Disagree?
He's got 2 Cy Youngs. Shouldn't he
I
be signed
understand.
and treated like a 1?
Yeah, he should be treated like a one. I just feel like if he joins a ball club that's already got a bunch of star power there and he doesn't have to be the guy that they're shoving cameras and mics in his face every day. He's good. He's good with that. I don't know.
Is
Yeah, but when
Blake
you
Snell
sign for $200 million, don't they shove cameras in your face?
a lot of cameras?
Yeah, but okay, let's say he signs with the Dodgers. This is a different lifestyle. It is not like it's
I
all
don't
on
see.
Snell.
I don't see the Dodgers taking him. It just doesn't. That's not a Dodger move.
Who does he sign with?
I would have said Seattle. We've talked about this, but they're out.
That's a non.
I know.
The Mariners are
San
broke.
Fran, if they miss, maybe Red Sox, maybe. But gosh, I don't know that the Red Sox would go there. He's not a Yankee guy for me. He doesn't fit the Yankee.
Why isn't
mold.
he a Yankee guy?
He just doesn't fit the Yankee mold. For
That's
me.
what I'm saying. Certain teams, when you
But
ask
isn't
me,
he-
that's what I'm saying.
Isn't Blake Snell, is he the equivalent to Giancarlo Stanton as a pitcher? In the sense you're like, whoa, this dude's an MVP. Whoa, look at what he's done and can do. Whoa, Blake Snell, 2 Cy Youngs. He's available in the free agent market. Is he that equivalent? Is he that type of pitcher? And I think he's going to the Giants, to answer your question.
That's a good call. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk to Susan Slusser more about the Giants coming up in a few minutes. So I want to get to Lourdes Gurriel because he signs a contract to go back to the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's Ken breaking the story. 3 years, $42 million, opt out after year 2. And there is a club option for a 4th year for Lourdes. I believe, yeah, that's a club option. I believe it's 14. Let me double check here. $14 million for that club option. So it could turn into 4 years and $56 million. So one person put out there, the deal is similar to what Mitch Haniger got last year with the San Francisco Giants. Hey, Lourdes Gurriel, first-time All-Star in his prime right now. Numbers dipped a little in the second half. Overall, just streaky. You look at a massive May, a down July, but he's been an above-average hitter every year in the big leagues. He actually played pretty good D this past season, too. I mean, he had a career-high 14 defensive runs saved, career-high 24 homers, 463 slug. The Diamondbacks know him. Clearly, they liked him. They bring him back. And Arizona is, making a lot of other teams look bad right now by filling needs for themselves, including one that clearly helped them get to where they got to last year. So are we talking too much about the Dodgers and not enough about all of what Arizona's doing, AJ, with Eduardo Rodriguez being added? There's reports that they might be looking at JD Martinez or Justin Turner to fill the DH spot. I mean, they're doing a lot right now. They bring on Eugenio Suarez, who I think is going to have a big year. You excited about the Diamondbacks?
Listen, I am. We talked about this on Friday, but you guys weren't listening. I love an owner talking shit. Their owner came out and was like, yeah, Shohei's just a DH for $70 million. Meanwhile, they're going out raising their payroll. They went to the World Series. They're going back at it. So I'm all for it, man. I was going to wait till we got into talk to Paul Sewald and we can hear his thoughts on it. But as a player, your owner comes out and says, yeah, our division rival, yeah, they signed a guy for $70 million, but oh yeah, we went to the World Series. We swept them out of the postseason last year. We are doing things. We're raising our payroll to the highest it's ever been. Man, this is awesome. If you're an Arizona Diamondback player, fan, in their organization, whatever it is, this is what you want to see.
This is exactly what you want to see. We're always giving Jerry DiPoto crap for what he says. This is exactly the opposite. He is getting behind his team. And you know what? Hey, it didn't work out well for the Padres. but they had the last laugh against the Dodgers. So they could talk a little smack. Now they got slapped in the face during the season, but right now, the Dodgers had a month off because the Diamondbacks kept playing. And so right now they are very much in this thing. I don't think they're a better team, but they're doing what they can do. And I love the fact that the owner came out and said this. Like, absolutely, spending your money.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it was crazy expensive. It's less than Jamer Candelario. I'd rather have Gurriel. Let's get to our poll question. So this has to do with what you think the free agent period should look like. So watchstadium.com/foul territory. Which free agent system would you prefer? A, 3-day signing window. B, 2-week signing window. C, all off season long, like we're doing right now. Think about it. Watchstadium.com/foul territory. Susan Slusser joining us next on the Giants, the A's, and a whole lot more. Susan from the couch next.
You married into the Boone family, so you have,
I did.
a couple family members that played. So my question is, I'm going through the Boones here. I'm going Brett Boone. I'm going Aaron Boone. I'm going Bob Boone, the old man. I'm going Ray
Yeah.
Boone. So how does it feel to be the 5th best baseball player in the family now?
They all. I can't talk about baseball really around them. Obviously we do, but there's nothing that I've ever done that they haven't done.
Exactly.
So that's what's awesome about it is because I think it's just it's cool that when Savannah and I are together, we just try to get baseball off of our minds and we just don't really talk about it, bring it up. But if I do ever bring it up, she's got great advice because she's been through it. She's seen her dad go through it. She's seen her uncles go through it, her grandfather. I mean, it's really definitely a blessing, but also it kind of humbles me at the same time.
Nick, when I found out you were coming on, I texted your father-in-law, who I've known for 20 plus years now. And I said, you got any good stories about Nick? And he said, well, no, he's too nice to have any stories about. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sit well in the Boone family, right? So then I said, come on, give me something. And he just said that every time you bitch to Savannah, she says, shut up, quit your whining, get out there and kick some ass. So is that how she talks to you?
Yep. Oh, 100%. No, I mean, when we're trying to flush the game for sure, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, kind of maybe going over the day. She's like, look, get your head out of your ass, you're gonna be fine, and it's, but obviously with a lot.
And now back to foul territory.
FT Live on Stadium is back. Great to see one of the best in the biz, Susan Slusser from the San Francisco Chronicle, joining us right now. You can follow her at her name, Susan Slusser. Susan, great to see you. I like the kind of hangout, cozy couch session for us right now because we're going to have to get into it with some therapy session too for Giants fans at some point. But let's actually start with this, Susan, just your reaction to our poll question. Do you like the way that free agency is set up, or would you rather have it in more of a frenzy?
Well, I mean, I kind of look at it two ways. It gives us all stuff to talk about all winter, right? I mean, what would you guys be talking about if there was like a 3-day or 2-week signing period? But I would be spending more time on this couch doing not work and, catching up on Netflix or whatever if there was a 3-day or 2-week signing period. I mean, it works for other sports, right? The shorter signing period. It certainly could work, give everybody a little bit more of a break. But then you guys would be running reruns or something.
Yeah, you're right. No, for us, Susan, it makes all the sense in the world. We love it. So I want to keep it just this way. I already voted. All right, so let's get to the Giants first. And let's start with Jung Hoo Lee and what you think he's going to bring to the table. And also how cool it's been for him to come to the Bay Area, embrace it, be out at the Hoops game with the Warriors. And I saw from the press conference, it took forever to put his uniform on, and then he's like handsome. So he looks like he's going to be a character, a fun guy to interact with the media. Are you excited about that? And obviously what he can bring to the table on the field?
Yeah, he's a charmer. He's got the looks. The Giants are a team that are in sort of desperate need of a little extra personality and energy. It seems like he brings that. He's got to play on the field, though, and The KBO is very different, obviously, from the big leagues. Can he hit big league pitching? That's going to be the one big question mark throughout the season. It doesn't seem to lack for confidence. He said something to the effect like from day one of the season, I think Giants fans are going to be impressed with my skills. So I like that a lot.
Okay, first of all, Susan, I thought that was overalls he had with just the one, like the 1990s overalls where they only had the one strap, but now I saw it was a man purse, so it makes more sense. Yeah, until he stood up, I was like, man, that's kind of awesome. He has the one strap overalls on. Is this, Susan, as a former Giant star, and I know how much they love star power out there in the Bay Area, it was me, and then it was Barry Bonds, far behind me when I played for the Giants. So I understand how much they love star power out in San Francisco. Is Lee enough for these fans to get them excited? Because they have been clamoring and clamoring and clamoring. We need a star since Buster Posey. Or are they going to have to do more to quiet the fan base?
I mean, obviously they made a huge run at Ohtani. They're apparently in on a lot of other big names, so that they know. Even Bob Melvin at his introductory press conference said, "This is a town. This is like a star-powered town. We like our stars here. You look at the Niners, you look at the Warriors. Right now, the Giants are a team that's kind of been boring. They had a couple good years under Gabe Kapler and, 107 win season. But even that season, Buster retires after that. I talked to somebody the other day that said this whole idea is it's San Francisco. Is that driving away free agents? Well, first of all, they signed Carlos Correa last year. That the city didn't have anything to do with that. That was the medicals that kind of upended that deal. So I think some of that's a little overblown. But I was talking to an agent recently who said, it's not San Francisco, it's Buster retiring. Like that's kind of changed the fortunes of the franchise and maybe how free agents, especially pitchers, might think of it. But pitcher-friendly ballpark, beautiful ballpark, mostly good weather. There are a lot of reasons for people to come to San Francisco. Lots of money. They've got lots of money.
Wait, good weather? Wait, what?
Wait. Did you play in Minnesota?
Yeah, we were in a dome. It was great. Remember that movie? Remember that dumb movie you guys made about Moneyball that we ended that shit? Remember that year? By the way, my daughter's watching that in school. Sorry, Kratz, I know I jumped you, but
no, you're
my
good.
Daughter, the teacher in statistics, is like, we're going to watch this great movie called Moneyball. And my daughter's like, what's Moneyball? And I was like, just make sure at the end, I didn't get actor credit for being at the end when we sent them home packing that year.
It's a good point. I'm not saying anything.
It's good history.
It's a good history lesson, except for they forgot about 3 pitchers that were pretty good on that team.
Yeah, that carried the team.
And the MVP, Miguel Tejada,
and a third baseman, that was pretty decent. Yeah.
So you're telling me talent wins. Talent wins. Wow.
I love Scott Hatterberg, but he is not why that team won.
It was definitely Scott Hatterberg. That's what it was. And the draft. All right. So what does he need to do? What does Hoo Lee need to do? What is he need to come in and do? Because my comps that I see are like Ha-Seong Kim, who was paid $28 million. Like, is the price tag going to put an expectation of him as something that he's not?
Well, I think the thing that Giants have like 5% of the time, they think that will translate. So who knows? You just never know. I was struck a little bit the other day by the press conference, how charming.
Uh-oh. We'll bring her back in a second.
The couch didn't have quite the Wi-Fi that we thought. And I'm pretty sure I was a bigger star in San Francisco than you were for your half a season. Okay, AJ?
No, I was there a full year. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it felt like half a season in the history.
No, it felt like 3 years actually.
I was there for 6 weeks, and it felt like half a season.
Yeah, I was there for a year, and it felt like I was like a dog year. 7 years of good luck.
Why did it feel that way? Oh, Susan's back.
Susan, because I had reporters like Susan, always with my back.
Go ahead, Susan. We lost you there. If you want to re-rack the answer.
Yeah. So we were talking about Lee, the strikeout rate, the low strikeout rate. I think they think that the contact will But you never know. Big league. He hasn't been facing guys throwing 100 on the regular. So it's a question mark. And he was so charming and handsome and funny. It kind of reminded me a few years ago when the A's signed Hiro Nakajima. It was a big deal. He was a star in Japan. He didn't play a game in the major leagues. He just wasn't quite a big leaguer. You never know. You just never know. And Japan tends to be a little bit more projectable than the KBO. So fingers crossed, because he ticks all the boxes that they need. Left-handed hitter, good outfielder. They really want to improve their defense. That's huge with, they're going pitching and defense. They have to in that division. So, I think the Giants are really hopeful that the metrics they have line up with his performance, but we'll see. It's going to be an ongoing thing all year.
Oh man, he better work out because they spent a lot of money on him plus the posting fee. So yeah, I'm rooting for him because he seems like a fun guy. We want more of
They
that.
have the money.
Yes,
they have the money.
Right, they'll be okay.
And they're going to spend more of it.
You're right, and I'll get to that in a sec. So one other part that you touched on that I want to ask you about is the whole San Francisco narrative right now that has been carried, and I just want to preface it with, Ken talked about it, Rosenthal, on our show, and also kind of wrote about it a little bit and tweeted about it. Here's Logan Webb reacting. A lot of people that have never played an SF seem to know a lot about it. I've gotten quite a few angry trolls coming after me. You're pushing your narrative about the city, whatever. And I'm like, re-rack the video of what we've done. I've asked 2 questions about it to a reporter who talks to everyone and to a player saying, hey, what do you think of San Francisco and why do you think some players don't want to sign there? And all of a sudden it's like, how dare Foul Territory even talk about that? I'm like, why don't you flip the narrative around and say, hey, our city's awesome, right? Instead of taking it so personally. So how do you think this is all kind of played out publicly and then with fans? Should they be pissed off at everyone, or should they use it as positive press to be like, this place is awesome?
Yeah, as Reza, I live in San Francisco. My mom is from San Francisco. My grandma is from San Francisco. The residents were kind of like, yeah, we don't want anyone else moving in here. So there's the longtime people are like, yeah, no, it's terrible. Don't come here. But no, it's an amazing city. It's an awesome city. I travel all over the country, obviously, with my job. The problems San Francisco has are everywhere. It has turned into sort of a political hot topic in some news circles because of its policies, and I think that it gets held up very unfairly for that. But it's still the same beautiful city it's ever been. The problem, I think, when it comes to baseball is that a lot of the teams stay in Union Square, where there are a lot of big, beautiful hotels. But if you then walk or take a cab or an Uber to the ballpark, you're going through some areas that aren't quite so good. Residents don't go through those areas that aren't all that good all the time. Like in any city, you kind of stay away from the problem spots. But yeah, there are problems that need addressing here, like every single city in the country and a lot of the great world cities too.
All right, so if you're the Giants and you're trying to woo Shohei Ohtani or possibly a Yamamoto, who's the person that you're going, okay, hey, you know what? We want this person. We want in with Buster Posey. We want Farhan Zaidi in here. These are the Dodgers are putting out the next 6 years of players to come and woo Yamamoto. Who are the Giants doing that to? And could that be the kicking point for people that don't, Carlos Correa wanted to come there and be the star. Who do the Giants have, and how do they woo these players if you get away from the whole, guys don't like the city or players have a negative opinion of San Francisco?
Well, here's one of the things first of all, Logan Webb obviously has been very vocal. He was very vocal about wanting Shohei Ohtani's big personality. He's from Northern California. He's a great advocate for the team. He grew up an A's fan, so he knows the whole Bay Area really well. He's from the Sacramento area. And he's obviously all-star caliber type starter. But if I'm the Giants and I'm going after Yamamoto, I show them all the highlight reels of Patrick Bailey and his catching skills. AJ, I'm sure you've seen him. He looks like he's going to be a special one. At points, his numbers have been even better than Buster Posey's were at the same age and the same experience level. So he's got some skills, and he's got a pretty good personality too. Less than a year in the big leagues. But I would set them up with him and say, this could be your catcher for the entire time you're here. So he's a big selling point, I think, for a pitcher. And their pitcher, and then just show kind of the results a lot of the pitchers have had there and the ballpark. For pitcher, I think San Francisco's an easy sell.
Well, no doubt about it for a pitcher, from the pitcher side of it. So where's the Blake Snell and where's the Yamamoto and where's the Jordan Montgomery? But is Bob Melvin coming there? Is this going to be, are we going to see a changing of the guard in the Giants' philosophy? Is it going to be no more pinch hit in the third inning, no more opener 3 out of 5 days? Or are they going to stick with that philosophy? People said that was more of a Gabe Kapler philosophy than a Farhan Zaidi. So are we going to see more of a traditional baseball team?
Well, when I covered the A's when Melvin was there, they did platoon a lot. Now, you could say maybe that was also front office, but I certainly think that most managers these days are going to go for a platoon advantage if there's much of a difference. And the Giants probably will continue that. But even Farhan Zaidi said, like, hey, look, if I had 9 everyday players, I'd run them out there every day. That's the ideal. And I think they're trying to get to that point. The thing to me that will be different with Bob Melvin is the use of the pitchers. We are not going to see openers all the time. There were points last year where the Giants had essentially a 2-man rotation and a handful of openers and some guys that were piggybacking. That wasn't flying with some of the older starters who wound up in unfamiliar roles and didn't fare as well. Look at Sean Manaea. When he came back in the rotation late in the season, he was terrific. He looked like, the guy he is, because that's the role he's always had. He felt comfortable and was familiar. That's where I think we're going to see the biggest differences in the pitching usage. But also, one reason I think Melvin is there is because he's also a good recruiter. He's had great relationships with players. You guys know, nobody ever has about it. He just kind of gets it. He treats everyone well. Players love playing for him. I think it does signal a shift in philosophy that most players will like. And I definitely think just the sheer personality, the emotional intelligence, all of that, I think that plays into the hiring and kind of maybe a different. And you know what? I liked covering Gabe a lot. Gabe Kapler's a smart guy, really interesting. And they obviously had some good teams, but this is a real shift. And I think that was deliberate.
Okay. So when the Giants don't get Yamamoto, who's next on the list?
Well, I wrote last week, I think that they should just go straight after Blake Snell right now. Like, don't even worry about the Yamamoto market. Now, obviously, that's up to Snell and his agent, Scott Boras. Do they want to wait? But there is this other narrative that the Giants are kind of everyone's second place, second choice, third choice. Maybe they're getting used to get bigger deals. Set the narrative yourself. Say, this is our guy. We wanted him. We are signing him. Here's the deal. It's done. This is not we were his first choice. He was our first choice. The guy's won Cy Youngs in each league. You can quibble about the walks and all of that, but the stuff is phenomenal. He's pitched for Bob Melvin. His numbers against the NL West, particularly the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, and the Diamondbacks have owned the Giants the last couple of years. They're off the charts good. So, why not just go do that? It looks like he might be, compared to Yamamoto, a little bit of a deal and a more of a known commodity.
And so that closes the book for us on asking you San Francisco Giants questions. And I agree, by the way. I think Snell would be a perfect signing for many reasons there. We'll move over to Oakland, and I'm not going to ask you about their offseason plans because they don't care. Why should we care? I don't even think they care about signing many dudes to legitimate 1-year deals to try and trade them off like any kind of big time players. Nothing. So we won't spend any time on that. Just since we last spoke to you, any updated thoughts on what you've observed there? Is there any sliver of a chance still that something falls through? And what's been the pulse out there? We still get, I would say almost on a daily basis, notes from people, fans, media. Thanks for keeping the conversation going in your player interviews, all of that, because we just don't want people to forget about how ridiculous this whole situation looks on the outside and that we're letting a villain get away with doing this. Any updated thoughts or observations?
Well, I'm not sure I could say it better than you just did because it's an atrocity. It's just awful. Like, there's just no reason. And it's stupid. You're going from a bigger market to a smaller market. You're ceding all of Northern California to a team that already is doing extremely well. for a lesser market. That really, that the idea is they're going to pack stadiums, for half a baseball season because they're a destination. I don't know. It's not much of a TV market. It doesn't make sense. It's the A's, and they take so many missteps that I think it still could fall through. The hope locally, of course, is that John Fisher just decides to sell. Joe Lacob, who owns the Warriors and is obviously has done very well with them, has essentially a standing offer for them. Dave Stewart has been involved in many attempts to buy them, along with Reggie Jackson. I think all of these would be much better owners, much better for baseball. Oakland was pretty far along in okaying that Howard Terminal on the waterfront stadium that never really made sense. I think everyone else would just put in a nice, beautiful baseball-only stadium at the Coliseum site where you got public transportation, loads of parking. And you guys are all probably way too young to remember the old stadium, but it was beautiful. You had a view of the hills and the BART train going by, and there was ice plant in the outfield. It was a lovely stadium. And then you build around it. The A's ownership kept saying, we need a ballpark on the water and we need an area where we can develop. They've got neither of those things in Las Vegas. So a lot of hooey, it looks to me like they ran out of money and went, where can we go where somebody else will build a ballpark for us?
Hooey. First time I've heard hooey on the show, but I like it. So quickly, Susan, you mentioned the A's leaving, the Raiders left. Even the Warriors left Oakland. So is it an Oakland thing? We talked about San Francisco, and people have their perception of San Francisco. It's a beautiful city. It's on the water, the whole deal. And people are saying they don't want to go there. That's not our opinion. That's what people are saying. Okay. But why are all these teams leaving Oakland? Raiders left. The Warriors went to San Francisco, and now the A's are gone. So is it an Oakland thing? And do they need to change some of their policies to try to keep teams there?
I really don't think it. I think they're all sort of individual cases. Certainly the Warriors, had a opportunity for a beautiful new facility in San Francisco and an awful lot of corporate sponsors, all that kind of stuff. Although the arena in Oakland was certainly fine, and they were selling out. There was no issue with Oakland with the Warriors, and all those fans still go to the game. The Raiders, it's not like the Raiders have shown a lot of loyalty over the years. So I'm not they're kind of an asterisk. When they moved back, they ruined the Coliseum basically for baseball. So I'm not a big fan of the Raiders, period. But of course they left. They're the Raiders. The A's, even people with Major League Baseball looking back have said when they had a legit shot to go to San Jose in a beautiful location with a ballpark that had funding, all of that, they should have just said hey, best interest of baseball, we go back to what it used to be. And it is in every other two-market team where there are no delineated territorial rights within the territory, and the A's moved to San Jose. Oh my gosh, San Jose is the biggest city in Northern California, third biggest in California. All Silicon Valley money. It would have been so good for baseball, so good for the Bay Area. I love Oakland. I think the A's can thrive in Oakland. I grew up going to games there from a very small age. And I think the Coliseum site's ideal. I think somebody is going to take that site and do something wonderful with it, whatever it is. And I think baseball's missed a trick. And I think A's ownership is incredibly short-sighted with all of this.
Nailed it. And you're right, though, on MLB, too, for them to not step in and whatever who cares what the rules are in the past? That San Jose is not an option because of territory. That is such garbage. And really,
it's hooey.
Sport.
Hooey.
Again,
hooey.
Yes. Double whammy.
I can't wait to see you this year. I'm just going to walk up to Susan and go, hooey.
I've really aged myself throughout this show.
We're all aging every single day. Susan, great to have you on. As always, really appreciate the time and enjoy some more action that's coming up soon for San Francisco this offseason.
It's planned. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. You can follow her at Susan Slusser. We'll be right back with more Braves moves, and Tyler Glass now is added.
Told reporters down in Texas, Max Scherzer underwent surgery for a herniated disc in his back. He's going to be out till June or July. Now, he's had back issues in the past. He's been on the IL for them. He's missed starts for them. How big of a loss is this for the Rangers, who are still dealing with Jacob deGrom coming off of injury as well?
Britt, they've got a really interesting situation developing down there. So after the All-Star break, presuming Max recovers well and presuming Jacob recovers well and presuming Tyler Mahle, their newest pitcher, recovers well, they could have almost a line change of new pitchers, a new rotation effectively coming in. And they still are interested, as of yesterday, when they knew Scherzer was having surgery, in signing Clayton Kershaw as a free agent. So that would be another Hall of Famer coming back off of surgery in the second half, possibly. I don't know if it's all going to come together like that. I don't know if they're going to sign Kershaw or not, but they're in a really interesting spot. And this is kind of what they did last year. I'm talking more about the Mahle signing and the potential Kershaw signing. They gathered as many bodies as possible and then had the depth come October to really do some interesting things. Andrew Heaney out of the bullpen, or as kind of a glorified opener. Dane Dunning out of the bullpen. Martin Perez, right down the line. So they still have a decent rotation with Evaldi and Dunning and, of course, some others. They still could sign a Jordan Montgomery potentially, but they've had issues because of their RSN, some uncertainty surrounding it, and that has led to some financial restraint, even coming off a World Series title. So they're going to be a team to watch in the coming days, and it's just really a difficult spot for them maybe at the start of the season, but it should get better as the situation improves going forward.
And now, back to foul territory.
Back on FT Live on Stadium, Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz. All right, let's jump into the Atlanta Braves continuing to be active. So they trade, and now have already released Matt Carpenter, but they acquire him and left-handed reliever Ray Kerr, who could be a big part of their bullpen. Some really solid numbers out of him. He comes from San Diego to add to Aaron Bummer to continue to give them what looks like a super bullpen. And $1.5 million goes to Atlanta as well. But they essentially just eat some money for the Padres. And David O'Brien said Kerr was the point of doing this trade. It's a hard-throwing lefty with upside. We're sizzling. Though he's 29 years old, he didn't debut until 2022 with the Padres. 35 Ks, 9 walks, 27 innings last year, or this past season. Lefties were 5 for 31, 15 Ks, 3 walks against him. So look at the Braves again, AJ, just buying players essentially from teams that have to cut payroll.
I like it if you're a Braves fan, but I mean, how many lefties can they have in their bullpen? They've got Bummer, now they have Kerr, then they have Minter, right? He was pretty good, right? And then they have, what was the guy, Matzik, who was so good for him? Was it Matzik?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back, right, from Tommy John after the run he had in the World Series. Jeez, this is pretty good. I mean, if you're a left-handed hitter, you do not want to go into Atlanta because you're going to get Fried, Minter, Kerr, Bummer, Matzik. Oh, that's a rough 3 days if you're Bryce Harper.
Dylan Lee, isn't he coming back too? He had his little thing there. The Phillies signed Schwarber and Harper, and the Braves are like, we'll just go all lefties.
And Kerr has an option remaining, so between that and depth and some guys coming back from injury, they'll be fine. But look at Alex Anthopoulos just getting crafty all offseason long. I think what he identified was there are some teams that desperately need to cut payroll. We are going to exploit that. Of course, he did that with Kelenic and the Mariners, who were like, oh, we got to rearrange so that we can make our big moves. Sorry, what?
Like the Red Sox. The Red Sox and the Mariners are on the same timetable. They're waiting for the 3-day window that Scott proposed to kick in before they start making moves.
The fake window?
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's get to Tyler Glasnow quickly as well. As he said, he feels there's plenty of similarities between the Rays and the Dodgers. Quote, I guess the only difference is the Dodgers have a lot more money. Well, clearly, because he also signed a pretty massive extension to be in LA for the long term. So I give them props. I wasn't here on Friday when that was kind of getting wrapped up, but Kratz, in my mind, the Dodgers saying, yeah, we'll do this if we can sign him to the extension that looks like this. Technically, if you include this year, 5 years, 136.5. They kind of split up the money in 2024 to help them on the luxury tax number a little bit, aka they're still going for a lot more players here in the free agent market. And then 2028, either a club option at 30 or a player option at 21.5. So Tyler Glasnow is now incredibly rich.
He is definitely incredibly rich, and he's going to realize that there's a difference in taxes. Being a SoCal guy, he probably gets it, but his $25 million that he was going to make in Florida, in Tampa, or in St. Pete is going to be a little bit less because he's going to get taxed in California. But my question is, who would you rather have? Both signed contracts this year. Would you rather have Aaron Nola, or would you rather have Tyler Glasnow? Would you rather have a guy who has Cy Young stuff? No Cy Youngs. Blake Snell has Cy Young stuff and has Cy Youngs. Or would you rather have a guy who has made every one of his starts since 2017? For essentially, you get. I mean, it's negligible. It's a few $1 million more for Glasnow. But who would you rather have?
AJ?
I'd take a healthy Glasnow.
That's not what I said.
We don't know what this is going to look like for the next 5-6 years.
Glasnow's got about 4 or 5 years less than what Nola just signed for. And isn't he's younger too, isn't he?
Yes.
Glasnow's younger. So I'd take Glasnow. I know Nola's been a warrior for the Phillies, and I appreciate the fact that he makes his starts every fifth day. But for what the Dodgers need, Glasnow's the guy.
All right, we're going to do a little rumor has it next on FT Live on Stadium.
I love your tweet the other day about Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman. We're all there, and Shohei, we're all there for the Yamamoto talks and when their representatives are there. I think that is a monster move. I absolutely love that move, to be honest. I mean, talk about putting a little pressure on somebody to come over and play for the squad. Three or four of some of the best baseball players. Dodgers are changing the game here, man, with everything. Talk to us about that and just explain to us how that's such a gutsy move right there.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I had reported that the meeting was going to happen. And at that time, I didn't know all the guys who were going to be there yet. Knew a few, was trying to get a couple of confirmations, waiting to report. Ken and Fobbs got me. Shout out to those guys. They sometimes you get beat. But to your point, Todd, I think when you land the big guy in Shohei Ohtani, I think for any team, this is kind of what you were hoping for, because you would probably have the inside track to a guy like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, right? To be able to say, all right, we got our 3 MVPs that we can bring to this meeting, his potential backstop and Will Smith, maybe a couple more guys in there, Andrew Friedman, front office, Dave Roberts, who was already in there with Shohei Ohtani. And it's a great pitch. Southern California, it sells itself, and then to be able to have some of the best players in the world, including Shohei Ohtani, saying, hey, man, I came over here for a reason. You want to compete for the next 10 years for World Series titles, come on over to the Dodgers. So I think for the Dodgers, this is what they wanted. They've been thinking about this for the last 2 seasons, kind of clearing the deck for Shohei, able to land Shohei and then say, all right, with the way we have things working for us in our favor right now, with the way the money is going to work out over the next 10 years, we can go out and get a guy like a Tyler Glasnow, right? You can go and say, we're still on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because last week I had reported at the winter meetings that while they were still chasing Shohei, who was their primary target, they were still in on Dylan Cease, right? They're still in on Yamamoto. They're still in on a guy like a Josh Hader for their bullpen. So it's a good spot to be in if you're Andrew Friedman, where you could say, look, I have all my irons in the fire, and I expect that I'm going to get 2, maybe even 3 of those targets.
And now back to foul territory.
That's fancy. According to Bob Nightingale, the Cubs are in talks with Boris about Rhys Hoskins. Haven't heard Rhys's name pop up a ton yet. He's going to sign somewhere, and actually is one of the better bats available this offseason. He's going to be fine recovering from the torn ACL and good to go for this coming season. Kratz, obviously you spent quite a bit of time around Rhys and his impact and what it could be to a team. By the way, the Cubs haven't done anything yet besides pay big money for a manager, which is cool, but you have to, put talent around him, I think, right?
I mean, I guess you should, but maybe they're thinking, hey, we don't need to. Look what he did up in Milwaukee. Like, he took them to the playoffs, and we think that the playoffs are a crapshoot, so we'll just keep pocketing all our money. Or we could go and get Rhys Hoskins, who is going to get you 32 homers a season and 100 steaks. And if you ask Philly fans, they're going to be like, oh, he's a little too streaky for me. Philly fans, guess what? You missed out on Rhys Hoskins this year. You are a World Series team, and you are playing against the Rangers if Rhys Hoskins is on your team. No matter what you're saying about Bryce Harper playing first base, he did a great job. He's a great hitter, blah, blah, blah. You can't take 30. I think he averages 36 homers a season. No, that's a wrong number. Anyway, he's had 30, 27, 34 homers in his career, and just be like, you know what? We don't need that. Like, we don't need that in our – he should have a market that will explode. And I know the knee injury might be a prove-it deal, but we'll see. I think this is a huge pickup, whoever gets him.
Disagree with your take right there on they'd be in the World Series guaranteed if they had him, because then you'd be able to DH Schwarber or make some defensive adjustments. So, yeah, I mean, he's a good player. But to say they would have guaranteed gone to the World Series with him is disagree for me.
Take was too hot for you?
I just think it's not right, because the Diamondbacks were just hot and won the games they needed to win.
They needed to score runs at the end of the season. We'll ask the manager who was making the lineup. He'll be on soon.
Oh, the manager of the Phillies is going to be on FT Live today? Amazing.
Today.
Over on the Foul Territory YouTube channel as we say goodbye to the stadium crowd. If you want to keep this party going, we're live for another hour. And yes, that includes Rob Thomson and also Paul Sewald. So we really get into Arizona versus Philly coming up over the next hour. We'll see you on there, peeps.
Gotta let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
More FT Live right now. Hello, everyone. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz talking to Philly skipper Rob Thomson in just a few minutes. So let's keep the combo going on the Cubs for another sec, because it does sound like Cody Bellinger, or at least according to the reports in the column that Bob Nightingale put out there, that Cody could end up in either Toronto or Chicago. We've talked about this all offseason long. Not every team is going to make their fan base happy this offseason. In fact, quite a few won't. But Chicago and Toronto have done absolutely nothing. So it's a good race, because if the Cubs suddenly get Rhys Hoskins and Cody Bellinger, Kratz, and maybe another pitcher signing, right? A mid-tier starting pitcher and maybe another bullpen guy. Is that a good offseason for the Cubs? I think it's a great offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they were ever really in on Shohei or these top tier guys. I think that's a great offseason. I think in any other division, it might be a kind of a mid offseason for them, but it definitely catapults them closer to the top. I don't know that they necessarily, I'd have to look totally through it, because if you're getting Bellinger, like you had him last year and you fell short. So you're saying that Rhys Hoskins pushes you over the top? Maybe not.
I'm just so confused because Kratz just said the Phillies would have won the World Series with Rhys Hoskins. Now he doesn't put him over the top. But we'll get into that with Rob Thomson in a minute. But my question is my question is Cody Bellinger, right? When Scott Boras went into this offseason, do you think that he was thinking there'd only be two teams really in for his bidding? Because nobody else has really shown a lot of interest, have they? The Giants haven't really. The Cubs, yeah. The Blue Jays, yeah. But nobody else. The Yankees were supposed to be a spot. Remember, they went out and got Soto. So do you think Scott Boras is a little disappointed in what Cody Bellinger's market became this winter?
Yes, especially if San Francisco is really not in on him, because Farnside had him when he was with the Dodgers. Those two know each other. So to me, that's a little bit telling too from a team that has money to spend. Let's get to our guest though. Right now, he's ready to go. Philly skipper Rob Thomson joining us right now. Topper, great to see you. First off, how's the offseason going? Do you do anything fun and exciting in the offseason to kind of unwind a little bit from the season grind?
Usually during the season, I don't do anything fun, so it's kind of normal. Every day is about the same. I just hang out and rest up and get caught up on some stuff, family stuff, and that's just about it.
Okay, fair. Well, your offseason not as exciting as Rhys Hoskins, so we might as well start there because you had him, right? How much do you think the team missed him this past season and in the postseason, and what is the team going to be getting in Rhys Hoskins?
I think you're going to get 30 home runs and close to 100 RBIs, if not more, and you can get high on base, a guy that's going to work deep counts, see a lot of pitches, wear a pitcher down, and you're going to get a great clubhouse presence who's, extremely professional, very supportive, just an outstanding teammate.
I said earlier, right before you got on here, and I got chastised by AJ, I said, I think the Phillies make it to the World Series and are playing the Rangers if Rhys Hoskins is in that lineup. And AJ's points were valid, like, oh, it shifted the defense. Do you feel like if you had one more bat in your lineup, because the bats kind of got cold, the Diamondbacks did a good job of making an adjustment to you guys in the NLCS, do you feel like Rhys Hoskins puts you guys over the edge and you're back in the World Series again?
It's a good question. It's hard to tell, because obviously it didn't happen. But all I can tell you is that Rhys was a big part of our club, and losing him at the end of spring training was just, was devastating to our players individually. I mean, because they love Rhys. But, it's hard to tell in that playoff scenario. I think the Diamondbacks just did a great job on us, and we went cold there for a couple games.
Everything was made about Schwarber coming in and, kind of taking that like leadership role. Do you know if was there any like moment where Schwarber had to go to Rhys and say, hey, I know this could be your team. Are you cool with this? Or was it like a two-headed monster that it was Rhys's team? He was kind of like the Pat Burrell of the 2008 Phillies.
Yeah, I think it kind of just happened organically because they're both such great teammates. And I think Rhys is always all about the team and the greater good and whatever somebody brought to the table, if it helped Rhys out in that way, which this did. I mean, it's great to have multiple leaders in your clubhouse, and we're fortunate to have that.
Rob, how much did it mean to bring back Aaron Nola this offseason? Not only for what he's done the last couple of years, getting you guys to the postseason, but what he's done for his entire career as a Phillies. Because let's not forget, he was there for the down years also.
Yeah, that's been the great thing, with Nola and Rhys to have some success here as a team in the last couple of years. And Nola's, ever since I've been here, I think this is going to be my 6th year coming up. He hasn't missed a start, and you can pretty much book 6 innings every time he walks out on the mound, and that's in a long season. That's critical to have, and he's proved that the postseason doesn't affect him. The heartbeat doesn't go up. He's just a pro. He prepares, and then he goes out and competes and executes.
As a manager, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a guy who is going to give you 10 strikeouts per nine and make every start since 2017? Or would you rather have a guy that's going to give you 11.2 strikeouts per nine and never make every start in one season?
Yeah, the starts is a big thing. 10 strikeouts to 11.2 strikeouts. It's not much difference there, but it's the guy that's going to stay healthy and eat up innings and be successful at the same time. I mean, you could have a guy throw 180 innings, but it's not very good. Well, Knowles is going to give you 180 to 200 plus innings, and it's going to be really good. So that's really what you want.
Topper, were you ever nervous that Nola wasn't going to re-sign with the ball club? And did you have any conversations, not just this offseason, but over the past year with him, with the front office? Because front offices also have to evaluate and have to pick a price point for a player and say, hey, we'll go to this level. So what happened over the past year? Now that he's signed and done, what went down that you can give us a little inside look at?
I think the thing with players for me is that just the fact that they know that you love them and that you want them around, you appreciate what they give you. I don't think I'd ever try and talk a guy into signing here or doing this. I want them to do what they think is best for their families and their careers. And I just want to let them know that I appreciate them and that I want them, but I'm certainly not going to try and coerce them one way or the other.
Rob, I'm going to follow up on Kratz's question because he kind of took a little dig at me in that because we had an argument who was better, Glasnow or Nola. So that was his subtle way of kind of taking a dig at me. But the way he worded it in a way that, of course, you're going to say Aaron Nola. Now, I'm going to add one more to that fire. Would you rather have a 25-year-old Japanese dude that throws 100 with a 90-mile-an-hour split and makes every start and is possible to come and be a Philly?
He's pretty good. He's a heck of a talent. But I can tell you this. I mean, when you play in this market, Philadelphia, all the big markets, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, I think it's really important, and we saw it with Trey a little bit last year, that those guys that come in on these big contracts, you got to do your best to try and get them off to a good start so they don't start thinking about it and it doesn't start snowballing on them. So, one thing with Nola, Philly's not going to affect him.
Yeah, that's huge. Which market is tougher? You've experienced them both. You've experienced them at the highest level. You haven't won a World Series yet in Philly. Which market is tougher, New York or Philly?
It's a good question because the one thing that separates New York and Philly for me is that I never managed in New York. So the daily media sessions, I was never really a part of it. I just either coached third or was a bench coach, and somebody else had to answer the questions. So for me, just having the media responsibility, it's a little bit tougher for me in Philadelphia. But the one thing about Philadelphia is that they're passionate. They're very tough. It's a blue collar town. If you make a mistake, if something goes wrong, they're going to talk about it because they love their sports. But the flip side of that is what you see in the playoffs, the love and the passion, the positive passion that they have, the energy that they create for our players is just really, really effective. And I've never been in an atmosphere that was better than the Philly ballparks in the playoffs the last 2 years.
Hey, Rob, I like to look at underrated components of when a front office changes. So I read Ken Rosenthal's note about how Dave Dombrowski assigned Jorge Velandia to spend more time in Asia to pursue the top Japanese talent and Korean baseball talent out there because the Phillies have only had 2 players coming from Japan in their history, Tadeguchi and So Taguchi. So curious if you've observed that and if you can give us any more details on how that was put together, because obviously that's an important market, especially this offseason that we're talking about very frequently. And it goes beyond Yamamoto too, right? Imanaga is going to sign for big money, and there are other names as well.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly how it happened when Georgie was named assistant general manager, but I do know this, that Georgie Velandia is a heck of a baseball man, and at some point he's going to be a GM for a lucky team. He's done such a great job, not only in Japan but also in Latin America. But once he took over the Japanese assignment, he signed a couple of really good scouts from there, and has really spent a lot of time there and immersed himself into a little bit in the culture, and just traveling the country of Japan and seeing players and getting word out and creating trust and getting connections. He's just done an unbelievable job. We just have a much, much better presence in Japan than I think we ever have, probably.
Georgie is the man. I will second that. Jorge Valendia, if he is not a GM in the next 3 years, people are not doing their research. But that's
true.
That's a completely other topic. So I agree. Rarely do I agree with you, Topper, but this is a case where I agree with you. If you're having a big time key free agent, who's in that meeting with you? Who's in that meeting to meet with that guy? Players, front office, coaching staff. Who is that for you guys?
It'd be the front office, obviously Dave and Sam and the assistant GMs, and also myself. There might be some scouts that are involved, and there might be whatever the coach that will be involved with that player. So if it's a pitcher, it'd be Caleb. If it's a position player, it might be Kevin Long or Bobby Dickerson or somebody like that. So it's a pretty big group, and everybody gives their opinions, and it's really a good process because nobody takes anything personal. We give our opinions, and everybody respects that.
Any players? Because we saw the whole Shohei wooing the whole Yamamoto wooing in L.A. They had Freddie Freeman, they had Mookie, they had Shohei to woo him. Is there any players that you guys bring in and actually meet them? And do you think that's an important aspect?
No, they're not in the room. But I think in any case you can get players together, but via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. But we pretty much keep it to the front office and a little bit of the coaching staff.
Rob, we're getting some questions about Canadian baseball. So Jamie, for example, wants to know if you'll be working the next WBC in some capacity for Team Canada. Any thoughts? I know we're pretty early. We got a ways to go, but do you want to be involved?
I haven't really thought about that, but I'm hoping that I'm still managing the Phillies at that point. So
that's
Ernie Witt would never give that job up,
and that's true. And I think they got a great manager in Ernie Witt. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Well, and this is why I asked. I said any involvement. So
yeah. Maybe
you help with recruiting. Sometimes Canada doesn't always get to convince all of their players to be a part of the mix, right? They haven't had great results.
Yeah.
So if you were approached to help them, on more of a advisory front office kind of situation to rep the country, would you be interested?
Yeah, I think I'd be interested in helping out in any way I can. But, like I said, I hope I'm still managing the Phillies and I don't have to go anywhere. But I'm a proud Canadian and I always wish them the best whenever they play in that tournament. So any way I can help, I would.
So, all right, Rob. I was just going to say, Jay, we need to get him one of those Bryce Harper 13-year deals then.
Yeah, there you go.
Top, right?
Yeah. I'm sure he'd love that. Well, my question is also, I got a question about Canada. Did you see all the stuff Kevin Gossman coming out? I mean, is Canada's leading man, Rob. What's the deal with all these people saying it sucks to play for Toronto? I've heard nothing but good things from players playing in Toronto. So here's your chance. Defend Toronto and defend the way of life in Canada. Let's go.
Wow. I never saw anything of the Kevin Gossman thing, so I can't comment on that. But I think the fans in Toronto, I think it's a big market city. So you're going to get the passion. They fill the stadium up now. And whenever they play well, they fill the stadium up. So they got a great fan base. They got the entire country rooting for them, and it's like the Toronto Maple Leafs here in Canada. They're very passionate about them, and they're very passionate about the Blue Jays as well. So I think it's a great place to live, and I think it's a great place to perform, and a great place to play baseball. To tell you the truth.
Before the 2022 season, you let a few people know that it was going to be your last year, and then you became the
Yep.
manager, and then you became 2 games away from a World Series champion. Now, this offseason, you get a 1-year contract extension the same year that Craig Counsell gets a 4-year highest paid extension or contract, not extension. Do you feel like congratulations is in order, or would you like to have more than the 1-year extension, or do you feel like the team has earned you more than a 1-year extension?
I'll put it this way. I feel like since I've been in Philadelphia, I've been treated more than fairly. And I have a great relationship with Dave and Sam and John Middleton, and I trust them as much as I trust anybody else. And so I've been treated fairly. The 1-year deal was good for me. I told Dave, if we're doing this just to eliminate questions, you don't have to. All I want to know is that you want me here. And he said, oh, yeah, we want you here. So I was good with it.
And by the way, Craig Counsell already fake texted me. It's a 5-year deal. Kratz, don't sell him short. Okay.
My bad.
5-year
My
contract.
bad.
How you doing? So 2 follow-ups here. Topper, 1, we ask this to players all the time. In your mind, I know it's changed. How long do you want to manage? How long in your mind? Obviously, you want to pick up a World Series title. And let's say you pick one up within the next few years. Like, do you feel like you have 5 years left, 10 years left? Like, what are you interested in?
Yeah, I don't know, because it all depends on how I'm feeling and how much fun I'm having. I was going to retire from baseball a few years ago, basically because I felt like I was getting stale. And then once this job came about, and with the people we have and the coaches we have, and learning a new job really, and learning every day from it, it's really energized me, and it's brought me back to loving the game and wanting to go to work and getting up in the morning and being excited. So as long as that's still in my life, then I'll keep doing it as long as the Phillies want me to.
And then my other follow-up was on Counsell. What did you think of that whole situation where you have a manager who basically enters free agency, and at least a part of the equation is he felt like manager salaries weren't going in the right direction based on guys that had been there for a while and were talented, right? And you look back, I think it's like Joe Torre kind of salaries were not there anymore. So did you have respect for what he did to kind of maybe reset the market for managers that have been around for a while? You know how hard the job is.
Yeah, no, I do. I think I praise him for what he did, and not everybody's going to get that type of salary. It depends on the market, and I think it was the perfect storm for him. He's the free agent. He's a great manager. He could probably pick and choose, and so went to the highest bidder, and it happens to work out really good for him because it's still fairly close to his hometown of Milwaukee. So I think it was just kind of a perfect storm for him, but I do respect him for it. I think he's done a great thing for a lot of managers for future money earnings. So, I think it's just a great thing.
Should we have a format to the playoff change? Because the Phillies have taken advantage of it, beating the Braves the last 2 years. After the Braves had 100-plus wins, the Dodgers have lost 2 years after. Should there be a format change if the Phillies win 105 games this year and are the number 1 seed?
I kind of like the format myself. Of course, I'm a little bit biased. We've had a little success with it, so. But I kind of like it, and you're going to get questions along the way like, is it better to be the wild card team? Well, if that's what you're planning on doing, is getting into the playoffs as a wild card team, you're probably going to miss the playoffs. So our focus is still going to be winning the National League East, and just all those other decisions sort of out of our control, and we just keep moving forward.
Topper, is there a feeling amongst you, and I don't know, when you talk to fans, and I talk to fans, I'm sure you talk to people wherever you're at, and they say, okay, baseball's changed. There needs to be a salary cap, because you look at certain teams, the Dodgers, the Braves, and your Phillies, kind of are super teams, they want to call them, because you guys go out and spend money, bring in high price free agents, and you're trying to win, as we all wish every team would try to do. Does that bring more pressure? Does that bring higher expectations? And do you think Major League Baseball should do something about that? I don't want to say salary cap, because, listen, as a former player, we all know players don't want caps, but is there a way to make every team try as much as your team is?
Well, I think there should maybe be a floor, and I'm not the commissioner, and I don't think too much about rules because it's out of my control. But I do think there should be a floor. I'm not sure about a salary cap. You know, it's a business, and everybody's going to run it, you know, the way they see fit and what's best for them. But I'm glad at where I'm at right now. I can tell you that, because Mr. Middleton wants to win, and you know, he's willing to spend the money within reason. I mean, he's not silly, that's for sure.
Did you guys talk to Shohei Ohtani? Was he that kind of silly?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so you didn't talk to Shohei. I didn't know how silly we were getting.
No, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you that anyway.
What? No, he already signed. You can tell us who you talk to anytime, because you're a person and Shohei Ohtani's a person. But I'm going to go to your superstar. Is him moving to first base better for Bryce or better for the team in the short term?
Well, it does a couple of things, because it gets a little bit more time for Schwarb in the DH spot, and then so that frees up some of our really high-end athletes to go out there and run baseballs down, whether Rojas makes the team, but we got Marsh and we got Pache and we got, you know, guys that can go cover ground, and that's not to say that Bryce isn't going to DH at times, or Castellanos isn't going to DH at times, but I just think it gives us a little bit more flexibility.
All right, so Bryce Harper also is locked in still for 1 million more years, but his agent came out, Scott Boras, and said, "We want an extension." Do you think that Bryce Harper should get extended until he's like 48?
Well, it's not my money, but but I love the guy, and however long I'm here, I want him here. That's for sure.
That's only 2 more years, though, apparently. So maybe you should be the one asking for an extension, Topper, not Bryce Harper. You need Bryce Harper to come out and say, "I'm not playing for anybody except Rob Thomson," and then you have all the power.
Yeah. Well,
did you see that clause? Well, remember the Ohtani has that. That's real. That came out. So, Topper, I don't know if you know this, but Shohei Ohtani actually does have an opt-out in his contract. You saw that? If Andrew Friedman or the owner leaves, then he can bounce. I don't think I'd seen that kind of contract stipulation before, had you?
I don't think so. Not that I can remember anyway, but it's an interesting way to go about it.
I like it. Hey, if I was a player, I would put that in for the Phils. We talked pretty nicely about your owner, John Middleton. And I would be scared, you know, I'd have a clause like, if it's John Fisher instead of John Middleton, I'm out. So just throwing that out there.
No, I'd say, listen, if I'm Topper, I'm going to Trey, I'm going to Nola, I'm going to Wheeler, I'm going to Harper and saying, listen, boys, if you guys want to be in the lineup, Wheeler, if you want to pitch opening day, Nola, you want to pitch the second game of the year, you guys all need to come out and say you're not playing unless I get like a 5-year extension. Put the pressure on them.
If I was extended out by Turner and Harp's contracts, I'll be about 90 years old by the time I'm done. So I think it might be a little bit old.
Hey, you don't have to fulfill them. You just, you get to a point and then you just, slide into the back, like Charlie Manuel did. Just be the, assistant to the assistant traveling secretary, but you still collect your money, but you're really not doing anything.
Yeah. And then my wife had divorced me because I'm never home, and so you got to think about all these things before.
That's true.
Get that
Topper,
done.
all the time we're on here, I always make fun of myself because I wear my ex-team's shirts around, like when I'm at home. Like I'll wear a Phillies shirt to work out and a Red Sox shirt the next day to work out.
Yeah.
How often are you wearing your Phillies stuff? I see you got your Phillies jacket on there. So are you Are you
Well,
strolling around with your Philly stuff?
well, I have a gym here at the house, so I'm from here. I'm going to work out in the house. So when I go outside, I'm not wearing Philly stuff.
Not any. You don't even have like a Phillies beanie because I know it's cold.
Nope.
So
I got University of Kansas, that type of stuff.
Thank you, Topper. Thank you, because I hate billboarders like Kratz. I never wore one thing when I was playing. Never. I don't need people don't
We just said work out. I didn't say
It doesn't matter. Workout nowhere to the grocery store. No chance.
We weren't all the face of Nike, so we couldn't get free Nike stuff anytime we wanted it. Right, Topper? You know, Topper knows.
Yeah.
Topper was a grinder. Topper was on the backfields. He was in the cloverleaf. He's got cloverleaf. He's got disease to cloverleaf. He gets hives when he's around cloverleafs.
Hey, I got one more. So, but back to Harper in a unique way this time. So it was a while ago, but in that series against Atlanta, you had a little attaboy Harper from Orlando Arcia. So did you see anything behind the scenes where your guys were like, we're going to show them, which I think was great for the game, by the way, just adding another fun storyline to the postseason. And then you did have at least a couple Braves players, Arcia himself, Travis d'Arnaud, saying like, oh, you can't say what we say in the clubhouse. You've been in the clubhouse for a while, and you know, I mean, the reporters were not in there for that long. They're allowed to report what's said.
Sure. And we had Orlando at the All-Star game this year. I was fortunate enough to manage the game and a complete professional when he was at the All-Star game. So I think, probably a mistake on his part, but I don't think he was trying to be malicious or anything like that. Because he seemed like a really good kid, and very professional. And I think the talk in the clubhouse wasn't, okay, not what we're going to show or we're going to show them. It was more like, oh God, what's Harper? This is going to be 2 home runs, might be 3 home runs tonight. Who knows? Because he gets motivated by different things, and when he's really motivated, he is really, really special.
Topper, I mean, come on. You've been in the clubhouse a long time. We've all been in the clubhouse except for Scott. People say stuff at the end of the game, and they're just talking trash. I mean, it's good for the game. I know it. Yeah, it motivated Bryce. He made a mistake, right? But he made an aggressive mistake. So, listen, I had no problem with what Arcia said. I had no problem with the reporters reporting it. I thought it was great for the game, and I listen, I love it. I love trash talk. Let's bring it on. Let's make it a little more open for people where they're not hiding. Hey, you know what? If I play for the Phillies, guess what? I don't like the Braves. I don't like the Mets. I don't like the Marlins. Why? Because they're trying to kick my ass and we're going to kick theirs. So listen, Bryce made a mistake. Arcia said what he said. It wasn't like a personal shot. It was fun. Let's embrace this. Let's not be like, oh, I take it back. No, screw that, dude. I said it. Yeah, it was a fun shot. Bryce, listen, we all know we all motivated by different things. And good for y'all because guess what? It got Bryce pissed and then boom, you guys win the series. What you guys needed was like Zach Gallen to be like, Bryce can't get a hit off me and then bam, bam, bam. But
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I wasn't offended by it at all. And I didn't think anything less of Orlando Arcia. It's just probably came out of his mouth and, it is what it is.
Yeah, worked out well on the short term for that one. So the rivalry continues coming up soon, obviously just a few months away. Topper, great to catch up with you. Go crush that workout right now, all right?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to have you. Rob Thomson, Philly skipper with us on FT Live. That was awesome. First time on for Topper.
Long time coming.
Second time.
Oh, was it second time already?
Spring training.
Spring training.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't worry about it, Scott. Time flies.
Yeah. Well, you know how many shows
4 years for council, first time for Topper. Yep. It's fine.
True.
We all make
tries for Topper for sure.
Stat boy, AJ Pierzynski.
That's right. I always get all the stats right.
This show is not built for that. But I will say we'll have Paul Sewald joining us in just a sec to give us a little more insight on the other side.
You know what would have been awesome? So we could have had Sewald on with Topper, and they could have talked shit to each other.
Yeah. I feel like Topper is not an 80 grade shit talker. So it might have been a mismatch, and he would have said, it's not my thing. No?
It would have been super dry. It would have been so dry. You would have been like, wait a minute. Did he just zinger? Paul, and Paul would be like, wait a minute, I think I heard. Todd would be like, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
He would have been confused. His brain would have exploded.
Listen,
That
he
would have
came
been
up under Girardi he coached under Girardi. There was no guy, and I think Kratz hopefully would have my back on this one, talked more trash from the dugout than frickin' Joe Girardi from the Yankees dugout. You'd be catching, and especially when he had Tony Pena. Oh my gosh, between the two of those guys in the Yankees dugout, you're like, one time I literally looked at Joe and I'm like, can you just shut up for an inning, please? Just stop yelling at me and my pitcher, please, Joe. And he finally was like, okay, that's enough. I've had enough. Okay, thank you. But I'm like,
See,
Joe, please.
He would stop. Joe would stop. Joe would talk some smack. Who would not stop? The Cardinals. Tony La Russa. Mark McGuire. Who else was there? Who was the hitting coach? Malley. Was it John
Mabry?
John Mabry?
Wasn't he the hitting coach there, or who was the hitting
He was
coach?
when I was there, but I don't think he was with La Russa.
Oh, no. This was like the La Russa. This is like
he had all those guys. He had McKay, Dave McKay.
Yes, Dave McKay, first base coach now for the Diamondbacks. Yeah. If anybody would ever throw a ball remotely close to a strike inside, not even like up and in on anybody, it was end of days. They would not stop. They just wanted to intimidate everybody.
Well, listen, all they had to do was run McGuire out there. He'd just pick a guy up with this hand, pick a guy up with this hand, and be like, next.
Next. Switch.
Well, let's ask our next guest about McKay. Paul Sewald joining us right now on FT Live. Paul, great to see you. It's been a minute, so we have a lot to catch up on. But do you have any run-ins with Dave McKay that you can tell us about, or is he still chirping at everyone?
I wouldn't take on Dave McKay today. I can't imagine 20 years ago. This guy, I mean, he's the best conditioned person in the entire building still today. It's unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh. How old is he?
70.
Wow.
Got to be. I think he's like 70, 71, and I swear he would crush every one of us in the elliptical if we tried to go with him. I swear today. No problem.
The elliptical.
No problem.
The elliptical. He's 73, by the way.
Damn. Good for him.
He would knock us out. He's great.
Wow, I did not realize that he was still, making everyone look bad. All right, let's get into life, dude. So we haven't seen you in a minute. Now that you get to process what just happened this past season, including, getting traded to the team that finishes second in baseball. What did you take from the last few months?
Just thankful that it worked out really well for me. I thought it was when I left spring training, I thought it was on a team that could compete for a World Series, and life threw a curveball, pun intended, for baseball players. And I got traded and we got off to such a bad start. And I was kind of questioning what's going on, and just a credit to everybody that we reached our peak potential in the most important month of the season. And I came on the show and I think I said that we could be dangerous. And I'm glad that turned out like a flaming hot take instead of freezing cold. And just really enjoyed the whole process. It was, whether we lost or won the World Series, it just, it was fantastic to be there and something I'll never forget.
Have you spent more time in the offseason with your Mariners ex-teammates or your Diamondbacks ex-teammates?
That would be Mariners ex-teammates, because we had planned a golf trip months in advance before I got traded to go to Pinehurst. So it was my brother's 30th birthday, and we had kind of planned that I was going to take him there. And I said, what would be better than having a boys trip of going out there? So 8 of us went out to Pinehurst and played some golf for a week. And yeah, there's the guys right there, and a lot of Mariners, lots of ex-Mariners, and a lot of future ex-Mariners, I'm sure.
Paul, when you were that was at Pinehurst, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Did you play all the courses? Because there's like 10 courses there.
So we played 2, 8, then we played Mid Pines, Southern Pines, and Tobacco Road. So we played 5 in 4 days. So I had 36 spot, and then we got after it. We had a great time. A lot of fun.
Nice. Did you see old Vinny Fresso, or the White Sox old clubhouse guy, is like the shoe guy there at Pinehurst? Yeah, he went from the clubhouse of the White Sox to the shoe guy at Pinehurst.
Not terrible. That's not terrible. No, so nobody said anything. One guy recognized Cal's name. He just said Cal Raleigh, like the catcher for the Mariners. And then that was the only guy the whole trip that recognized any baseball players. And it just was funny. I was like, if you take a look around, I think you'd recognize a few more.
No. Only the guy with the mask are recognizable. Okay, Paul? Don't ever forget that. The guys with the mask are the most.
TV's always on you guys. TV's always on you guys, no matter what.
Did you see what your
really good looking?
Of course. Best looking guys. best athletes, best looking. I mean, smartest. It's a
I
genetic
can't argue
thing.
that. I can't argue that.
Did you see what your owner said about Shohei? And did you also see what he's done by going out, spending money, unlike your old team, which we're going to get into? But, I mean, he's gone out, Erod, brought back Gurriel, traded for Suarez, right? And took shots at your division rival, the Dodgers. I mean, I love this guy.
I love it. Ken's been great. He comes out and says he's trying to have the highest payroll the Diamondbacks have ever had. Him, Derek, and Mike Hazen have done a great job of improving our team from where we were at the very end of the season when some people become free agents. And just a really big credit to all of those guys that are committing to, trying to get back to where we were last year. It was a lot of fun. And I think Ken and Derek really enjoyed themselves to the point they're like, all right, we should try to do everything we can to get back here. And Mike's done a great job of not trying to overspend, but getting pieces that I know are vital to us improving. Anyone could say we kind of backed into the playoffs and had a lucky run. And, there were teams that won 100 games that we did better than. But if you can consistently put yourself in that 90-win conversation, and I think that they've done a great job of this offseason to give us a chance to go out there and win 90. And as we know, as long as you get in the playoffs, anything can happen.
All right, all this offseason, it's the talk of Shohei, it's the talk of Yamamoto, all that stuff, but they're all going to teams who are building around somebody. Are the Diamondbacks more than Corbin Carroll? Are they more than just one player that you're building around?
I would say that we've shown, especially in the postseason, when Corbin had moments where he wasn't Superman, the very few moments that he wasn't Superman, that we have a pretty good 26-man roster that can compete with most of the teams in our league. And we're just a lot better when Corbin's Superman. Everyone plays a lot better. And I'm very thankful that he's on our team. And that's going to be the face and the staple of the Diamondbacks for the next, more than half decade. But I think just one guy can't do what we did in the postseason. I think you just saw Ketel Marte breaking the hit streak record for the postseason. Gabby Moreno is now a household name of catchers in the league. And now we're adding Gino. We're bringing Gurriel back. And now we have Erod, who would have been an all-star had he not gotten hurt last year. And now we're just starting to get a little bit deeper. And over the course of 162, I think you're going to see Corbin's going to have his flashes, and he's going to be on MLB Network more than anybody. But we're gonna make up for it when he doesn't have his best games.
So, Paul, you mentioned this briefly a few minutes ago, but last time you were on, you said, "Hey, like we're coming for him," right? And some fans were pissed off. Not many, but, it's not like it went super viral or something, but they were just like, he shouldn't be talking. Not even like, oh, he shouldn't talk because, they're down in the series. Just like players need to, kind of be more quiet. He could be giving away a scouting report. We got one of those when you were kind of breaking down a little bit on the series, as if teams behind the scenes don't know every single iota of information about what's going on. So curious now that you said that, and then you guys end up coming back and winning, and we did get some sorries after the fact. What is your take on how we should approach the playoffs with players? Because you were sensational. Some others were. A lot of other guys get really tense and nervous. And there's this kind of like umbrella that's put over a lot of our sport versus other sports when we should be showing it off more. How can we kind of get across to players better during the playoffs?
Yeah, it's tough because different players react differently. They, don't want to be interrupted in the World Series or, the NLCS or it's like, and I thought our communications team did a great job of, asking us, hey, when can I get you? That was probably the craziest thing about the World Series was not playing in the World Series. It was the media attention that goes with being in a World Series and just nonstop people, just as from the second you got to the field to the second you left, there was somebody who wanted a question and it was the pinnacle of our sport. You want to get out there and you want to promote it and you just want to enjoy the fact that there are no more games. There's only one game on television and we were in. And I just thought it was a great opportunity for me to express how thankful I am for my teammates and essentially just let everybody know that we were confident still in that series. And it turned out to be a flaming hot take instead of freezing cold. So that worked out a lot better for us. But, we just have to embrace this game as much as we can and show people how amazing it is. And we were so excited to be in the World Series. I think everyone on our team was like, I'll do any media attention I can to try and show everybody who the Arizona Diamondbacks are.
What do you think about your old team? I know we keep going back to them, but they've been such a topic this offseason. And at the end of the season, with one of the guys you went golfing with, Cal Raleigh, and what the GM said, like you said, hey, we're trying to win 90 games and we're trying to do this. Listen, you can't win 162 games. We all know that. You're not going to go, but you're trying to win as many games as humanly possible every year. So when the GM of your old team comes out and goes, we're only trying to win 54% of the games, because if we win 54% over 10 years, that gets us to the postseason, and we're not really trying to win them all. We're making doesn't, as a player, does that, are you happy? I mean, that's got to make you a little bit more happy that you got traded away to a team now with Kendrick trying to win every game.
I have the utmost respect for everybody in Seattle. I had an amazing 3 years there, and I will forever be thankful for everything they gave me. I've had plenty of conversations with Jerry about, front office stuff, kind of just trying to pick his mind. And I understand exactly where he's coming from. And if you deep dive of trying to figure out who wins 54% of their games over 10 years, those are the teams you want to be. He has a point. I think it can't get taken well by the fans. The fans want to hear, we are trying to win the World Series every year, no matter what. And there was unfortunate timing, and I think it was a poor delivery on the concept that I do think in front offices, that's exactly what they're trying to do. But it does feel good that, now my owner is saying, we're trying to win the World Series next year. We want to have the biggest payroll we could possibly have. And, as a player, that's all. You just want everyone to make sure that they want to win the World Series as much as you do. And I know Seattle's front office wants to win that World Series, but it just always feels better when they explain that they are trying to win the World Series, even if that's not what they're saying behind closed doors.
And I'll tell you, there's been massive uproar from fans right now. And I'm sure they are going to do something. But the one thing we have learned is that they are restricted with their payroll right now. DePoto's talked about that. Your former manager, Scott Service, has talked about that so far. And I even go back to, and you remember, I crushed the trade because I'm like, okay, you're going to trade away your closer. I know you want to acquire some bats. They do have a farm system. When you affect your team mid-season like that with one of the key pieces, never going to go well. So now that's carrying into the offseason where fans thought we might be in on Ohtani or we're going to be in on other big names. And they had to, basically, for example, sell Jared Kelenic to the Braves just to clear up some cap space that we don't have in our game to make moves. So what do you think, going back to the trade, which involved you, and we can talk about a little bit more now, all the way to this offseason, your message to fans that you still have a close connection with?
Yeah, I mean, those fans know that I was disappointed when I got traded. I was very happy where I was, and we had done something special. We went to the postseason for the first time in 22 years. It was very important to try and win in Seattle, and I thought that I was on a team and in an organization that was taking those positive steps to try and get there. What the front office and ownership had promised was that we were going to clear space in 19 and 20 so that we would progress when we had to. When we finally got there, and it felt like we were there, we were right there with the Astros in 22 in the postseason. We just made a couple bad pitches and ended up losing the series. And they were probably the better team, but we felt like we were very close. And it felt like, man, if we could just improve our team a little bit, we could really make a run at it. And then we didn't do it necessarily last offseason. And it kind of felt like that in the season. It was like, man, if we're just missing a couple players, and I thought we were going to get extra help. And, as the closer, I only pitch when we're winning. So, not to be selfish or anything, but I understand that. I'm just watching from afar, just trying to say all right, we have to score runs for me to pitch. We have to score runs for us to win. And we were struggling to do that. And the front office made a decision that they could try and replicate with other relief pitchers what they had done with me. And the price to pay was a couple of position prospects. And, Jerry and Justin decided that was the best thing for their team. And it worked. Like I said, it worked out very good for me, and I'm very excited that I got to go to the World Series. And Arizona is a promising team, and I'm excited to be there, especially again this year. But I understand the fans are extremely frustrated because they were told one thing, and now they're getting the rug held out from under them. And watching kind of Scott and Jerry talk at the winter meetings was a little bit eye opening. Of man, they there's some things back behind the curtain that the rest of us are not going to know that are looking a little bit disappointing in Seattle, unfortunately.
So Cal looks even smarter. Like you were saying, his comments at the end of the season, he was frustrated. He looked at the Rangers across the way, who you ended up playing in the World Series. Hey, look what they did. They went out and got guys. They went out and got this. They didn't have to give anything up for going out to get those guys.
Yeah.
Was Cal wrong? saying that, or was he spot on right as the leader and your golfing buddy?
Yeah. No, Cal's not wrong. And as a player, it's not my money. So I obviously want to spend as much money as we can to get as many good players as we want. Sign Shohei to a $700 million contract, like, not my issue because it's not my money. I understand that. But at the end of the day, when they go from winning 60 games and being a laughingstock in our division in 21, and then they get Marcus and Corey and are barely better in 22, and then they just keep upgrading and now they just pass us, was like eye-opening to just be like, man, like, how did they go from being a laughingstock to now they ended up winning the World Series, and I thought they had as good a team as any team in baseball. But it's like, how quickly can they turn their team? And what did they do by doing that? They went out and spent in free agency. And it's like the developing prospect, drafting and developing is the hardest part. If you could put yourself over the top with spending, that seems like that's the easiest one, even though I know it costs a lot more money, but it's like, hey, we're right there. We could just buy one extra player, and it felt like we were right there in Seattle. And so when it didn't happen, and then you lose out to a team that literally passed you by doing that, I understand his frustration. And if I'd have been there, I would have been very frustrated as well. That's a tough way to miss out on the playoffs against a team that ended up, going the opposite direction of improving their team.
Yeah, great call. Really well said. And so back to the Arizona side, not only were you a midseason addition, but Tommy Pham proved to be a huge part of your team down the stretch. What was it like playing with Tommy? I feel like there are a mix of emotions from fans. I love him as a player. He tells it like it is. He's looked like he's been pretty clutch in his career. So what was it like playing with him, and what will a team be getting in him in free agency if he doesn't return to Arizona?
So Tommy's a Vegas guy. I've known Tommy for 15 years. We played high school against each other, but I don't know Tommy very well. We had live BPs against each other, but that's pretty much the extent of our friendship. Was like, hey man, like, I'm throwing Thursday at 11. Like, you want to come out and hit? And he would come out and swing, and we kind of talk baseball, but nothing like more than that. I just think there's some things that Tommy probably regrets in his career, either saying or doing, obviously. And now he gets a bad rap of who he is as a person because of those things. And that's unfortunate. That's just life, and that's unfortunate. But anyone who's ever played with Tommy knows he's the most prepared person there. He's probably the hardest worker on the team. And at that point, like, that's really all you can ask for in a teammate. And ask the guys that are in a clubhouse, like, who would you rather have? Would you rather have some guy that you'd rather have a beer with and go out with that doesn't reach his full potential and can't help the team because he's more concerned with X, Y, and Z? Or would you rather have somebody that's like, man, I don't hang out with Tommy a ton, but I know he's ready for the game. And when it comes to a postseason game, I want my guys to be as prepared as they possibly can. I don't really care about who's my best friend on the team. I want to win, and Tommy wants to win as much as anybody. And I can appreciate that. And I think he was a revelation to a team of young kids that have good work ethics, but not Tommy Pham work ethic. And I think he's great for a group that has young guys that need to learn, like, oh, I can take my work ethic like up a notch. I can be more prepared than I already am. And now you're talking about guys with talent like Corbin Carroll. If they're better at that, the sky really is the limit.
Paul, being from Vegas, have you, your family, and friends all that are still in Las Vegas, have you guys gone out and bought Las Vegas A's gear to celebrate the A's coming to Las Vegas?
Yeah, I have my doubts if that's going to work. I've been negative about it since the rumor started. They think that we have the blueprint because of the Golden Knights and the Raiders, but the Golden Knights were an expansion team for one, and they were our very first professional team in Las Vegas, and then we had immediate success. So the fan base is already drawn to them. And the Raiders, you're talking about 8 home games a year. They're mostly on weekends, and fans from other teams, really, like, tourists can definitely come to game on a Sunday. No, I don't know how many tourists they think are going to come to an A's Royals Tuesday game. Like, they have this delusion that they can fill the seats with tourists. And I'm like, tourists don't want to go to a Wednesday getaway day game between an AL Central team and the Las Vegas A's. And so I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they've done enough market research that they understand how many people they can get in the seats. I'm weary of it for sure. I think anyone who's been to, I think this is just a totally unprofessional, but just, I've been to a lot of stadiums in my life, so I kind of know what they look like. We need a stadium that looks exactly like Texas's Globe Life Field. That's all suites and not a ton of seats, because that's the only way you're going to get people in there. Is the hotels putting people in suites live, and like you just want to make sure that it doesn't look empty, because if you have 12,000 people there for every game, it's going to look ridiculous if you have, a bunch of seats and they're just empty. It looks ridiculous. So I think Texas has done a great job of, it feels like intimate and small, and they just have so many suites that maybe that's how they like fool us into thinking there's more people there. But they're going to need to do something creative like that for sure, because I just don't see 25,000 people going to an A's game every night.
I'm totally with you. I agree. I think they will understand that part of it, right? It needs to be Vegased up, right? To have a unique experience out there. My thing is on branding. So I've been out there a few times this past year, and everyone knows about the owner, John Fisher. There are no secrets that he did not handle this situation well, and he is continuously a villain. And a lot of people I spoke to out there said the Vegas Knights also are ours, born here. It's Vegas's team. We're about to get like the leftovers of the crappiest owner in sports to come over here and keep the name, where I'm like, I'd rather have a different name. Let the A's stay there, and hopefully someone rescues Oakland one day and brings a team back. What do you think about the branding?
Yeah, that was like the most eye-opening mistake in my opinion. He's like, well, the A's brand is strong. And I said, well, of course the A's brand is strong. That's why you should be staying in Oakland. Like, but don't get me started on that. Exactly. No one wants the Las Vegas A's. And I don't know his spending plans, but they're probably not going to spend a bunch of money and bring in these guys. So you're just going to see guys that you see over at the Aviator Stadium right here. So, why would I pay all this money to go to a major league game when I'm essentially seeing the same product I saw at the Aviator Stadium, last year? The Las Vegas you'd have a chance if you really started to brand something completely different, and the Vegas fans could kind of bring it right at this point. Most Vegas fans are Angels fans, Dodgers fans, and then you sprinkle in, some Diamondbacks or some Padres or maybe the Giants. But, there just aren't many A's fans here. And now you're telling people to embrace that. And like I said, I have my doubts. I don't think it's going to work as well as everyone thinks it's going to work. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is freezing cold, and I hope I'm wrong, because the players deserve better than to just, get fed out there like a 4A team in a major league stadium in a city that, doesn't want them.
Paul, would it be better, because Golden Knights obviously are Vegas's team, the Raiders, if they just rebranded them, like no more A's, right? Just came up and said, John Fisher, we are not letting you take the A's there. We'll keep the A's for an expansion team, maybe in Oakland, wherever they do it, and let the people of Las Vegas, because I have really good friends that live in Las Vegas, and they all tell me the reason the Knights worked is because they were our team. We kind of came up with them. They were built here. They weren't brought from somewhere else. Because even the Raiders, honestly, the reason the Raiders work is because, like you said, the visiting teams, oh, shit, my team's playing in Vegas. I can go there for a weekend, party for a weekend, watch them on Sunday, and fly out red-eye Sunday night home, right? But with the A's, so wouldn't it be better if they just said, all right, we're getting rid of the A's name. We're going to let the people of Las Vegas pick it, help design the team, help design the stadium, and boom, they're more invested than just bringing in an also-ran?
Yes, it would almost feel like it was an expansion team if you could do that. And that's what we would need, is something brand new that they could hook onto. People who are, Angels fans here that are like rivals with the A's, why would they then become A's fans? It's like, well, it's a rival of the team that I've always grown up liking. Like, I'm not going to jump in on that. If you felt like it was like, well, they're not rivals with the Angels, they're not rivals with the Dodgers, this is my team, it's the Las Vegas, Blackjacks, whatever they want to call them, I think would have a way better chance. You could get, the merchandise is such a big deal. And, no one does merchandise better than the Arizona Diamondbacks of rebranding and trying to sell merchandise with new stadium or with new logos and new colors. That's their best chance of trying to get, young kids here to really embrace, like, oh, I want to be like, I'm going to grow up a Las Vegas whatever fan. They're just not people aren't going to be A's fans. It's going to be really hard for them to really sell the A's to fans that are already weary of them coming anyways. So I totally agree. If you could rebrand it, it would almost feel like an expansion team, which maybe you'd have a better chance of getting here.
Hey, I hope your take is cold there too on the city, because I want it to work and we all want our game to thrive, but you are not going to be cold on the branding take. I'm telling you that. I mean, I think that's consensus there. That is being out of touch. They are missing the mark severely. Everyone's been saying that. I do not understand how the league doesn't step in to the owner there and say, hey dude, let's leave that alone. Like, it's such an easy win. So I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, take Washington, the Nationals, if they'd have just been the Washington Expos, I don't think it would have worked nearly as well. Now, it took a long time for them to get to the point that they are today, where people in Washington, D.C. actually go to the games instead of go to O's games. But it was because they were a new team and it was a new branding, and they got a new stadium downtown. And, if they were just the Washington Expos, I think it would have taken even longer for people to kind of jump on the Nats bandwagon. So I think they did a great job in Washington. We'd have a chance like that if we did something, but yeah, the Las Vegas A's that's going to be a tough sell to tell people. And I promise that.
Yeah, I hope people are listening, like people that make decisions. So
people that make decisions don't listen to anybody. That's why they're in decision-making spots, which is unfortunate. But hopefully we have enough people here that are like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. Please, please, please change something.
Yes. Stop making mistakes. Listen to us one time, please.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get your take on Shohei Ohtani. So did you follow it? What did you think of the way it all turned out? And you can go any direction you want to go. The fake news day, which I felt bad for people in Canada, and then what he ended up getting with all the deferrals. There were so many surprises.
Yeah. Man, it's kind of a dagger. He's in my division. It sure would have been nice if he'd have found somewhere out of the NL West. He's just an incredible player. And that blew out the kind of idea that I thought I was going to get. That was a number that I never thought was even possible. And, when you look at the defers, that's more closer to probably what we all thought that he was going to get or what he deserves. And great idea by them to do the $2 million and then the 46 against the tax instead of, 70 a year. And I hope I'm concerned that the state of California is going to manage to steal some of that tax money that he thinks he's going to avoid. I think they're going to get theirs. But for his sake, I hope he gets to keep it all and he saves himself $100 million of tax. Yeah, he's the best player in baseball, and he deserves the best contract in baseball, and he deserved the opportunity to go wherever he wanted to go. And I thought he wanted to go to the Dodgers for 3 years, and the Dodgers wanted him for 3 years, and it seemed like it was always going to be there. And the craziness of, Dave Roberts saying we had a meeting, and then they're saying, well, they lost it because Dave Roberts said they had a meeting, which I kind of thought was crazy. And, this Blue Jays flight, and Robert Herjavec gets off the flight and, waves to everybody, was kind of like a movie in a sense. And I hope he, didn't feel, he wanted that extra privacy. I hope it all worked out the way he had kind of hoped it was going to, because, when you get to free agency and you get that opportunity, you want it to go as well as you can. And, money wise, it obviously did. I hope the experience wasn't awful for him.
Paul, your shirt you have on, can I get one of those, please? Because I gave away a couple of those member for a day. Yeah, I need a shirt though. I mean, can you explain what it is first of all, and then can you figure out how to get me one? Because I've done that and I haven't never gotten a shirt. All
right, let me talk to Eric about getting you a shirt. So for people who don't know, there's a website, Member for a Day, that has an amazing idea. It's people who are members at extremely high profile golf courses will auction off a round of golf at their golf course for, charitable causes. And, there's, in my time that I've played with people, most of the people I play with at these incredible courses are some of the nicest people in the entire world. They're just extremely successful in whatever they did in order to gain access to these places. And they just want to do a little bit for charity. And so it's a situation where they essentially auction off rounds of golf at extremely great golf courses for charity. And so they sent me a shirt. The problem is I can't even auction anything because I have a limited window in which I can play golf in the off season and instead of during the season. So in my post baseball career, I'm hoping that I can make quite a few purchases for Member of a Day.
All right, I'm going back to
I will talk to Eric. I will talk to Eric about trying to get you a shirt, though, AJ. I'll take that.
Thank you, Paul. That's all I ask. I'm just asking for a little T-shirt.
Okay, all right.
You have to give access, though, AJ. You got to participate. Then you got to do it.
I've done it.
He said he did.
You see this? Do you see this?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, humble brag.
Yeah, I've done it. See that? I've done that.
Good
yeah,
I've
done it numerous times. Okay, so yeah, don't tell me I have to give access. All I'm asking for is a little T-shirt. Just a little T-shirt action. That's not much.
Easy.
I know what that round goes for in the auction. So the least you could do is get a T-shirt out of that.
Yes, thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
All right, my only comment, completely blown out of the water now because AJ showed his member shirt of where he's a member at. I was going to go back to Shohei. Is this a net positive? Because now out of your division, you don't have to face Eugenio Suarez. He's on your team. He's 2 for 2 with 2 dingers. You're worried about facing Shohei. He's in the division, but guess who's gone? Juan Soto's gone. And looking at what he's done against you, that guy, he loves some Paul Sewald.
Yes,
so
he does. He's
is
got
it
no
better that
problem facing me.
Shohei's in the division or that Juan Soto's out of the division?
I don't know which is better, but nobody was happier that Juan Soto got traded from the NL West than me. That is for sure. He is an absolute nightmare. I am such a bad matchup against him, and I continue to have to face him. And the only time I managed to get him out is on a 375-foot fly out that Gurriel caught literally at the wall. That would have been a walk-off grand slam. So, yeah, if I never have to face him again, I will be totally fine in my career.
I like
He's
that
a
glass half
monster.
full action from Kratz. It's a good point. I didn't think about that. Good call. And Kratz was doing his homework too on the matchups, weren't you?
Yeah. Soto's.
Man, I've given up a lot of homers. You had quite a few guys that have given up homers too.
Yeah, but I mean, Suarez, he owns you now in the clubhouse. Like, you have to get him coffee anytime because he's 2 for 2 with 2 dingers.
That was a Great American Small Park homer.
They all count the
Yeah.
same.
88 miles an hour off the bat counts the same? That doesn't count the same.
It does
So
when
you
I go to
wouldn't
arbitration. It does when I go to arbitration.
That was when I
True.
was terrible with New York. They don't talk about that stuff anymore. That's a different person.
That's a different Paul Sewald. That's correct. That is
That's
a different Paul
person.
Sewald. I like that.
That's fair.
You're right. That guy stinks. You're right.
That guy.
But that's not you. So push that guy aside. But hey, we're glad you got Gino on board. We saw it. The good vibes only. We've talked about
Love
it too.
it.
He's going to be awesome. So hey, great catching up with you, Paul. We appreciate the time as always, dude. Great combo. We'll catch you again a little later this off season, but we hadn't seen you in a while. So congrats on an incredible run. I know you can, maybe some guys can't, but you can look back at this past season as a big success, a big stepping stone, even though you didn't get the ring, but you got time.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was no one left Arizona, disappointed in our season. There's only one team that wins 4 games at the end of the year, and congrats to the Texas Rangers, and they earned that, and they were better than us. But I'm thankful that we're trying to get back there, and I think everybody around us is seeing that. That's going to give me a little extra motivation knowing that everybody's trying to get back there at the same time.
Yep, and your front office is working their asses off to do that too. So, Paul, great to see you,
Shout
man.
out Mike Hazen.
Yes,
See you guys.
shout out Mike Hayes and getting the job done. Hey, he was honest about it. He was like, we needed another starter. He said it out in the open, and he's working on it. Obviously, he got Erod, and they're not done. I think JD Martinez or Justin Turner could be a Diamondback in the next few weeks too. So we'll bring you back on to chat about it when it happens, all right?
Kratzy, you look up my stats against Turner. He's got a homer off me too. It'll be good to have him on the team.
Yeah, you definitely need that. You need to figure out how to get Bregman out too.
That's next
Not
off
great.
season.
Not great. All right.
When he's a free agent.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. We'll
Thanks.
talk in a little bit after we sign a couple more players.
Perfect. Good plan. Let's get it done. Talk soon, Paul.
Take it easy, guys. See ya.
Awesome. Hey, I love that. That is true. You want to see and feel what it's like for a player to get excited about teams doing shit during the season and the off season. You see it right there from Paul. Like, that is genuine excitement that they're going to, at least on paper, be a better team next year than they were this past season, which could be a scary thing and could make them a sneaky team again. All right. So first off, quick look at BetMGM's latest promo for us, because it's a little bit unique as we check out their 7 days of parlays that's in action right now and give your holiday spirit a little boost. You can unwrap a different token to enjoy in parlays for the next week. That starts with the Eagles and Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Log into your BetMGM Sportsbook account, go to the 7 days of parlays page, claim your daily reward, and you receive a parlay boost token to use on select parlays and same game parlays each day during the promo. You can score a bigger payout if you win your parlay with the token activated. Happy holidays from the king of sportsbooks, our favorite, the BetMGM fam. And now, time for us to do a little slap hands action, which includes a little look at Ken Rosenthal's fair territory in a moment as well. Let's slap. Also, you know whose birthday it is? No? Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
That's a friggin' suit right there.
That is
I like that. You got the vest. I mean, this dude brings swag to our game, unlike maybe almost any other player. Top 3 at least. No?
Flair. He's got flair.
Flair. He's got serious flair.
Jazz brings some swag.
Yeah,
He just didn't
Jazz
win
is
the
on that
MVP.
list. Right. Acuna's better. So he gets to be
I was
flashy.
going to say the difference between Jazz and Acuna is Acuna's play on the field has been better than Jazz's just a little
Of course.
bit.
Acuna is Acuna is what? In the power rankings of players. I mean, he's easy top 5. He might be top 3. You know, maybe number 2 behind Ohtani.
Trade
Judge
him.
in that category. Trade him. Yeah, trade him. He's terrible. We're never trading Ken Rosenthal. He's on fair territory. It just came out. So there's topics for you. You'll get the audio version coming up in about an hour on Apple or Spotify. But Yamamoto sweepstakes, what's next for LA, starting pitcher trade market, grilling Ken, talking about some teams that looks like I see a theme there. Cubs and Mariners haven't done shit yet. Rays have done some things. I don't know if their fans are happy about it. And of course, Student Dork of the Week. So fair territory with Kenny Ballgame Rosenthal. Check it out. And lastly, merch, holiday season, last chance, Christmas shopping. You got about a week to go. If you want one of these, foulterritoryshop.com. Also one of those hats. There it is. I like it. Foulterritoryshop.com. Check out the website. Go order quickly if you're looking for last minute gifts or any kind of ideas there. Also this too. I can show this off. Wristbands. There it is.
Did you get that at the rave last night?
I got it on foulterritoryshop.com. And stickers too for the kiddos. All right. So that's it for us for now. Back on Tuesday. Not me. I'm back on Wednesday for the long run. Hannah Kaiser is going to take over. She's awesome. Opinionated. She's a great host. Formerly of Yahoo Sports. She's a superstar. So have fun kicking things around with Hannah. Get some hot takes from her because she's full of them. All right. Oh, Kratz hats. What do you got?
Shocker. AJ's bleeding off into Scott right now. Off days galore.
The
Unbelievable.
whoopie pie. It's a whoopie pie.
It is a whoopie pie. No idea who the whoopie pies are, though, do you?
No, but they're whoopie. I like to eat whoopie pies.
It's where the Red Sox think that all their answers to another World Series are hiding. Portland is supposedly, Maine is supposedly the inventor of the whoopie pie. So for one night, Portland Sea Dogs, who are normally known for their sea biscuits, which are delicious ice cream sandwiches with chocolate chip cookies, they were the whoopie pies.
That's awesome. I love that.
I thought whoopie pies were a Southern thing, but I guess I was
So
wrong.
did I. But Maine claims them. Maine claims that.
Maine's got to claim something.
Yeah,
they don't
say it
got
with their
much.
chest.
Lobster.
They say it with their chest. Gotta give them credit. See some of us on Tuesday. Bye.